You know, when we start talking about writing songs and copyright, I think you have to have a very open mind when it comes to that. And this is why I say this. Because you can have a great songwriter in your band, or a couple of songwriters in your band, and they can all come up with songs, okay? But no one has an endless flow of creativity when it comes to songs. So if you're in a band and you're writing songs and you're not writing the song that's going to do it for you, then you've got to find that song, and you've got to go and get it from someone who's copyrighted it and let you record it, okay? So living in a country like South Africa, you could get a song, and I'll give you an example. When we did the Angel song, it was written by Mick Box from Foreigner in a spin-off band that he had, and it was never released in America. And the label said, "This is a great song for you guys." Now you can be pressy and say, "But I'm not going to get all the royalties for the publishing and the intellectual property." But it was a hit song, so that puts you there with the people. So that's one way. And there are some really great songwriters that don't want to play in a band or whatever, so use them. That's what they do. They write songs. In America, 6 people write one song, you know, for one artist, you know. And then there's the other side, that if you got songs, you need to tie up your songs. You need to register with SAMRO. You need to register with all these organizations so you protect your intellectual property. And people laugh at me when I say this to them. In the old days, we never had these organizations. So what you do is you'd write a song, record it on a cassette tape, put it in a packet, seal it, and post it to yourself. That's your copyright. Simple. Because if you hear your song somewhere, you say, "Yeah, but hang on, I wrote this," and you date it. You know, it's a very stupid, simple thing to do. But people used to do that because there weren't all those things. So you need to own your intellectual property. Else you're going to have, especially I say now, more than ever, you need to have that stuff tied up. Because you're going to put a song on Facebook, on your page, and some guy, okay, if he's got a little audio interface, can take 2 lines out of channel 1 or a headphone of his computer, run it into an audio interface, into Logic or Cubase or whatever, and he can record your song. And he can add a disco beat to it, and he puts it out. How are you going to know? He's sitting in Germany, France, America, Venezuela, Manila. You don't know. You know, I've had people phone me and say, "Oh, I'm hearing me, Mr. Mustard, on the radio in Dubai." Or, "I'm hearing me, Mr. Mustard, on the radio in Beijing." My brother-in-law lives there. "Hey, gosh, I'm hearing me, Mr. Mustard." We don't have a deal in Beijing. Never had. So what I'm saying is now it's even more important than ever to own your intellectual property. Because you're only going to find out when it's been taken, for want of a word. You're not going to find out before. You know? Because the internet is a big, open, in my opinion, a minefield. You know, it's a minefield for musicians. So, yeah, you can register with us and you can sign this document and that document, but the songs are out there. And if someone wants it, they're going to take it. You know, so you have to get someone who understands publishing to handle your publishing. Sign it up, tie it down. You know, and then it's no use having a publisher if you're a good songwriter. It's going to do nothing with your songs. So a good publisher, and again, I don't know, I wouldn't know really where to even push somebody. There were a lot of guys in the old days who were really good publishers. So if I wrote an instrumental song and say, "Oh, Garth, you know, Dewald, this is a great song. I think this would be great for movies," then he's going to send your song somewhere for people to listen to. I don't know if that's really happening that much anymore. You know, until you get into the upper echelons of the industry where they all know that the guy from OneRepublic's a great songwriter. So when he puts his songs out, you know, everybody wants them. You understand what I'm saying? Or what's the girl from Four Non-Blondes? You know, everyone wants those songs because those are the songwriters. You know, but I mean, but even if you're a songwriter and you wrote a basic melody, it could be about a song that feels like you're sitting on the beach. There might be a guy who wants to do an ad, or a guy who wants to do a motor car ad, or a guy who wants to do an ice cream ad about eating ice cream on the beach. And your music could fit that genre. So now you're thinking out of the music industry, but you've got to have your rights tied up. you know, on your property. So you need a guy who can handle your publishing. You need a guy who understands royalties, Needle Time, there's Sampra, and there's all these things. There's all these organizations. You need to join all these organizations so that you have some kind of protection. I'm not saying it's the ultimate protection, but it's some kind of protection. And then on top of that, post your songs and put them in your safe. And so there's lots of ways to do this. And what I've seen now, which is a new trend that's coming into the industry, you got SoundCloud and Reverb Nation and all these guys now. They're kind of venturing into intellectual property because they're saying, sign with us. Sign your intellectual property with us, okay? And maybe they're on the up and up. I don't know. I haven't done that, okay? And I haven't explored that. But it was interesting for me to see that this was just a forum. It was saying, you put your songs here, it's cool. You own everything. Now they're saying, sign with us, and we'll help you market your stuff. So the real money in the music industry is actually in the intellectual property. It's not in the gigging. It's become the gigging because the intellectual property is dissipating. So now where does a band earn money? Playing. Okay? But that's because the intellectual property is dissipating to all sorts of outside influences, if you want to call it that. So now you're in a band and you've got a great song and it's #1 in South Africa, and that's great, and you get a couple of gigs, you'll get on some festivals, you'll get on the radio, and the band's, hey, we're doing so well, But where's your stuff overseas? And there's someone now playing those songs. And I'll go as far as to say that 90% of the big hits that bands kick off with in South Africa, and Buttercup was one of them, for me, Mr. Mustard. It was an old cover song. The Polytones, I Wear My Sunglasses at Night. Cover song. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes that cover song to break a band. Okay? But those guys in whatever country they are who wrote that song, you're just getting permission to record that song. Okay? And their banters about, well, if a song's older than 25 years, there's no intellectual property. But there are songs that are, because you can't go and record a Beatles song. And you're not going to be able to get permission. We tried to get permission to record American Pie, and we couldn't. They wouldn't give it to us. Yeah? But they give it to Madonna. You see what I'm saying? So it's that thing. So it depends on, but that's a good publishing company, because they're going, okay, they're going to release this in South Africa. Well, how much money are we going to make out of this? So it becomes that business thing again. So I think you just need to tie your stuff down so that you have some kind of control. You're never going to have full control over I don't believe, all your music and where it goes in this environment that we live in today. I just don't think it's possible to keep control of all of it, And even if you had a full-time publishing guy who's going to be pulling his hair out, trying to find out, hang on a second, this song's on a compilation there and a compilation there. And I mean, how many people today just make their own compilations? There's a Prime Circle song, a Polytone song, a Just Ginger song, a Mustard song, a this song, a that song. It's all on a compilation that's out there, dude.